Hello and welcome back. I'm your friendly neighborhood technician. Today we're going to fix my right front window regulator. I know I already did the right rear, but the right front decided to stop working. So we're going to do that, and we're going to take it apart. And it is a little bit different than the rear. So if you're thinking it's the same, it's not. The front is all mechanical. Do you remember the right rear had a little had a cable that went to it? So we're going to go through taking this one apart and putting it and fixing the window. Hopefully the motor is not trained. You can see it, probably can't, but hopefully the motor is okay, because the window does move a little bit. So hopefully this is just binding, and because the motor is about 2.5 times as expensive as this. So let's get to it. Also, while we're in there, we'll fix this, which from what I can tell, there's a bunch of nuts that go on the back of that. So I think the nut right here is just loose. You can tell it's kind of loose right here too. So we'll go back there and we'll re-secure all those. You're gonna want to pop this off. It just pops off. There's a little tab right here, fits into that, and then a little piece of foam, and then that hook right there, then that hook right there goes through there and right there. Take that off. Now we're going to unscrew this cover thing. There is the part number for the regulator that we're using. 124 720 0446. Next, pop off all your buttons for your seat switch, and then we got to remove this cover right here, and then after that we got to remove this cover. I like to use this little pry bar that I got off of Amazon. It's really thin and really rigid. Works great at getting into super tight spots to pop off little covers. We'll have to make sure that doesn't look like that when we put it back together. No, bits are falling out. Now we got to pop off that cover. Work your way around. Then it flies right off. Next, take out these two Phillips. There's a Phillips right there, and there's a Phillip right there. Then you're going to pull this whole switch group out. Then you'll pull off all 4 of these connectors. They're all different, so you don't have to worry about messing them up. And then behind this piece of foam, you'll find a 10mm. So you'll have to remove that. Then back in there behind the door handle, you're going to want to disconnect that door handle rod right there. Focus. There we go. Nope. You see. To remove this, you have to slide it forward after removing the lock, and that's it. Just push it forward and it comes right out. And then you're going to want to lift up on the door panel fairly hard, because it can get stuck. Next, you're going to want to take out these 4 8mm nuts and remove your door speaker. Next, you're going to want to remove your inner door film, or foil as the instructions call it, plastic foil. Alright, so the work instructions say to roll down the window until about 20mm of the glass are sticking out from the top. Well, the problem is I probably can't roll this thing down 20mm, let alone to where there's 20mm sticking out. So let's see. Nope, nothing. Well, unfortunately, it needs a motor because it doesn't move at all, and I'm getting voltage to where I need to go, where I need to get voltage from. This right here is, you get voltage when you're trying to go down, and when you're trying to go up, you get power here. So I'll show you. Good ground there. The meter pushing down. There you go, 12 volts. So it's getting power to the motor. The motor's just not doing anything. And then on the other one, we try to go up. There's your 12 volts again. So, motor's just not doing anything. So, yay, more money spent. Alrighty, so here we are. There's the part number for the motor. So, we're going to have to try to figure out how to get this window regulator out with the glass attached. So, what I'm planning on doing is taking out these two 10 millimeters right here, which holds this bracket right here in just like that. That's going to be mounted like that on the inside. And then that'll free up this arm right here to be able to get the, to be able to at least move that a little bit. And then there's another arm that goes up this way that also has another slider on it for the window regulator. And then probably take out this 10 millimeter, that 10 millimeter, and this 10 millimeter right there. And that should allow us to at least drop it down a little bit to get to the bolts, the 3 bolts for the motor. Then once we get the 3 bolts for the motor out, we should be able to drop the glass out and move the regulator manually. Okay, one thing the work instructions don't tell me to do is remove this bracket right there, which is riveted in by these 8 rivets. As you can see, the work instructions just say, oh, remove it from this big old hole right there. Well, you can see in that picture, that hole doesn't have that bracket. So, those 8 holes, or those 8 rivets, got to get drilled out. And then if you have that bracket, you're going to want to cut these zip ties that were right here, and right there. Then you're going to want to maneuver this thing out of the hole. So I ended up pulling really hard to get that stud out of that hole. What you can kind of tell right here is the stud is kind of binding against this side of the hole, and it's kind of loose against that side. Same thing with down here. So I think I'm just gonna have to force it really hard to get it out of there. Hopefully I don't have to resort to the Dremel. Yahtzee! Now what I gotta do is I gotta try to get to the bolt for the motor. Where was that? Oh, it's down there. Cool. Where are the bolts? There's 2 of them right there. Oops. 3 of them. Right there. Then I can remove the motor. Then I can actually move this by hand. Okay, got the old motor out. So the new motor doesn't have this little cover right here, so I'm just going to transfer that over. Alright, when I was taking it apart, this thing fell out. The new one does come with that little piece also. I just got to figure out where the frick it goes. Okay, so remember in the work instructions where it said that we need to lower the window down to a certain point? That purpose was so you could get that guide out of the track right there, out of that space in the track. So right now, what we're going to do is, now that we have the motor out and we can actually move this up and down, we're going to get that out of the track. Also, when the window is down in that position, you have to get that little nut off right there, that red one, yeah. as well as the track through that notch. Then what you want to do is use your favorite form of holding the window up. I like to use masking tape, which is what we use in the shop. Or if you have a plastic wedge, you can wedge it down here and it should hold the window up. Just don't wedge it too hard because you don't want to break the glass. Then when this thing is all nice and loosey-goosey, pull it out. Now assemble in reverse. You're going to put the new one, you're going to feed it all the way up through the hole and get the studs back through the holes in the door. Next, you're going to want to get the motor in, and the motor has to fit this way on this door because the wires have to reach all the way over there to the contacts. Before you reinstall this, you're going to want to mount this up about like that. Then when you get it all snugged down, it helps if you do this piece last. Get your top piece in. Then when you get it all mounted right here, then you can kind of slide this bracket up that way and then twist it and then get it mounted where you need to mount it. Then all you have to do is reconnect your wires right here and then you function check it. Hey, it works. Just got to clean it off now. Now we get to put the mounting bracket back into the spot from which it came, the mounting bracket for the speaker. Then we are going to secure it with some rivets. Now make sure when you're putting this in there, you don't want to crush the air line, the pneumatic line, or any of the wires underneath this, especially when you're putting new rivets in. Before I put the door speaker back on, which actually goes facing that way, you can see the plug right there, connector. You can see on the back that at one point there was a seal around this. So I don't have this exact seal, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use another seal. It's actually just a cut to fit strip that I have, and there's the part number. You can see it's a little too wide, but I'm going to make it fit. And it is one of those soft foam adhesive seals that I'm going to line up and stick. It's going to be sticking out a little bit right here because you can see there's not any extra room right there. Maybe a little bit right there, but most of it will fit. Yeah, you can see right here, it'll be sticking out a little bit, but that's going to be fine. There we go. Got a new seal on. Was able to trim it, but looks good. Now you're going to put these 4 8mm nuts on, and you're going to torque them down to not loose. There, as you can see, seal looks pretty good. Next, what we get to do is put on the door foil. But if you happen to destroy yours, or if it got damaged when removing it, then you may or may not be able to do it. I was able to save this one. I took it off very carefully. It didn't make it harder that all the adhesive was very old and it pretty much just came right off. But I do have some very thin double-sided tape, also a Mercedes product that I had laying around that I'm going to use some of that of. And that'll be a perfect way to get the door foil to stick to the inside of the door. This stuff is another TESA product, and it is a double-sided tape. It's actually made for convertible soft tops. Well, it's not perfect, but it's attached. Next, we're going to fit the door panel back on. Now, I find it a little bit easier to take the weather stripping. Where's my hand? There it is. The weather stripping off, or the inner door seal off of this if it did come off with the door panel, and then stick it back on here first. You might have to pop off these clips and put them on the door and then put the seal on. But I do find it is a little easier to get this on there as opposed to trying to get the small end of that clip onto the sheet metal of the door while you're trying to fit on the door panel. And there we are, all put back together, and it works, and it's awesome. Well, thank you for tuning into that. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully it helped you out some, and hopefully it helped you get the window regulator and motor replaced and your window working again. So thank you for watching. Remember to hit subscribe, give me that thumbs up, and maybe make sure you hit the notification icon so you get notifications when I post a new video.